Welcome back to my channel, or to my channel if you are new here. This is the second week of the Amazing Readathon. I am behind, not in the readathon, but in filming. I talked about this in the last vlog. If you want to see it, it'll be linked down below. I couldn't edit my videos and I couldn't film any videos, and so I was kind of just like reading and not filming anything. Anyways, books. I'm just gonna put you back in my window and just hope that the spiders stay away, because this is the best I can do. Okay, I don't actually have the books with me, so they're just gonna pop up over here. Let's talk about the books that I have already read. The first book that I finished was Earth Eater. I have no attachment to this book. This book is just okay. I'm giving it 2.5 stars. I think we're following this girl who can eat dirt and see visions when she eats the dirt. Very interesting, but I also just like was not a fan. I think that what this book did was like nothing for me. I think I would like this a lot more if it was like a detective type story and she was like this detective and she was like eating dirt and she was, you know, solving crimes. But we're also following her like life. I didn't really love that. So yeah, 2.5 stars. The next book, Truly Devious. I really enjoyed this book. This is a solid like 4.5 stars. I really love this. This was on my self-destructing TBR, which if you don't know what that is, basically just like a TBR that if I don't finish by a certain amount of time, it's going to just automatically come off of my shelves because I've had it on there for so long. I was really surprised by this book. I knew obviously I had wanted to read it, but I didn't think it was going to be like that big of a deal to me, but I just really enjoyed it and I want to read the second book so bad, but I don't physically own it, and so I'm debating whether I should just like pick up the second book just cause. But yeah, I want to read it so bad. We're following this character named Stevie who goes to this academy. Basically at this academy, everybody kind of has like special interests. They basically just pursue those interests mainly at that school. The school is there to like help you do whatever you're wanting to do from like a young age. And so we're following Stevie, and she wants to be a detective. She's like really into like detective novels and solving cold cases, and the school actually has a case that has never been solved, or well, it's been, somebody's been arrested for it and they kind of just like close it. It wasn't that big of a deal to them, and she comes there and she's like, that's not actually who did it. I'm like absolutely sure of this, and so she's trying to solve this case, and it's really just like this fun YA book, and I had a really good time with it. The next book, The Silent Patient. I still don't know how I feel about this book. I don't. In The Silent Patient, we're following this man who is a physiotherapist. Is that what he said? Is that what he called himself? I don't remember. He goes to work for this place called The Grove, which is a rehab facility. It just says a secure forensic unit in North London. Alright, we're gonna go with that. There's a resident named Alicia, and she basically killed her husband, and years later she has not spoken like one word. Nobody knows like what happened. They kind of just figured she was guilty and left it at that. It was honestly so boring, and I had no interest up until like the last little bit, and then I was like hooked. Obviously I wanted to know what happened, but like I was really hooked at the end, and then the ending just like, I hated it, but like also like I understand why the author did it, and I don't know how I feel about it. I still don't know whether I like this or not. I know a lot of people, this book is like one of those books that is either like it's a 5-star for you or it's like a 1-star, and this I think it's like leaning, I'm gonna lean more towards like 1-star. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's a 1-star, maybe like a 2, maybe 2.5, 3. I don't know. Like, I just don't know. Like, I want to talk about this book, but I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't read it. I'm trying my best to just figure out how to talk about this without spoiling it. But like, the whole book is the ending. Like, if you could just simplify that book to just the ending and people could read it, then like, you've gotten the whole book. There's no reason for anything else. I think this makes like a perfect book for like a book club or something, because I feel like I just need to talk about my feelings. I just need you to hear exactly why I disliked this book. Also, I need to hear you talk about it so I know why I disliked it. That's that. I don't know. The next book I read, the last thing he told me. First of all, this book, I thought it was going to be something different. I don't know what I thought it was going to be. I guess kind of like a stranger in the house. The idea that like the husband or the wife does something and then you're trying to figure out. Gone Girl. That's a good example. You're trying to figure out like why they did it, if you can trust them, that type of vibe. We are in this book following our main character, Hannah, who is recently married to this man. Not like recently, they've been together for a couple of years. I mean, married, I think only like 1 year, but she gets married to this man. He has his daughter, and they kind of have like what's deemed as this like perfect life. And then one day she gets a note delivered at her front door by this kid who's like, your husband said to give this to you. The husband, that's like literally the first page, I think. And the husband basically leaves this message, and he's like to his wife, and he's like, protect her. And he's talking about his daughter who he had with another woman. And then the husband kind of disappears. His company gets in trouble for fraud or embezzlement. I don't know, something, I can't remember. That could be wrong. Both of those could be absolutely wrong. But the company gets in trouble. We're trying to basically just figure out like what happened, why he disappeared. Nobody thinks he's actually guilty of doing anything. They just don't know why he disappeared. And then we're following Hannah and the daughter, who I can't remember the name of, but we're following them as they try to figure out basically where he went. I was intrigued. I wouldn't necessarily say this is like a great book. I guess I get why it's hyped up, and also this is a series and I think that I would like the series, so I will have to maybe check that out. I haven't really been watching TV shows or movies or anything. I don't know. Nothing is holding my attention. But yeah, I think I would give this like a solid, it's like a 3-star. 3.5. Like, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm gonna say 3.5. The next book, The Tea Dragon Society. I read this just for funsies last night. And I really enjoyed it. I'm not gonna give it a rating. I'm just gonna say I really enjoyed it. Should I give it a rating? I don't know. It's like 4.5 maybe. I really love like the little whimsy vibes. I'm here for the whimsy, and this had it. We're following our main character, and they come across a tea dragon. This tea dragon, for reference, tea dragons, they're basically these dragons, and their horns grow flowers and leaves that you then harvest for tea, and that tea allows people to see memories of the owner and the dragon, what they've experienced together. And it's so cute, it's so whimsical, it's such a vibe, and I want a tea dragon so bad. That's the books I've read. Oh my god, I've been talking for so long, and I'm so sleepy and hungry and tired. Book wise, I don't know where I'm going from here. I don't know what I'm gonna pick up. I don't know what I'm doing. I think I have House of Leaves. I just can't be bothered, bro. I can't be bothered. It just is so much, and my little bitty brain can't take it. I don't even know if I'll finish the book while I'm here, but I'll make up for it after I come back from this trip, because yeah, I really miss my dog. I am home now, as you can tell by the background. I haven't read much, but I thought I would update you on what I did read. I look a mess because I am a mess. I got sunburnt. You can probably see it, like my scalp, but also like my legs are red, and that's after applying sunscreen and reapplying it. I don't want to talk about it, but I did that and I read a little bit. So first and foremost, I started The Night House. I kind of picked this up on a whim. I thought the cover was like really cool. I am currently 13% into this. I'm physically reading it. We're following this boy who he's like kind of a troublemaker or whatever, and he gets his kid to go into this phone booth and do a prank call, and then the kid ends up getting eaten by the phone. And that's where we're at, and nobody believes him. That's literally it. I am really intrigued by that and I want to read more. But then I started You Know What You Did. Sorry, I'm like over here looking at the name, but I have the physical book from the library. I started You Know What You Did. I am 15% into this. I started it this morning. I was trying to read it last night in the car and I could not be bothered. So anyways, in this book we're following this woman who has OCD, and her thoughts apparently are like coming real. Really all that I've read is basically her mother passing away, and then she keeps getting like these visions of her mother going, I know what you did, and or you know what you did, whatever, and you don't know what she did. That I think is gonna be like the big mystery of this. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it, but we're also like following her as like a mother, and like she's having trouble connecting with her 14-year-old daughter. It's really just about her life so far, so I don't know where this is going. Like I assume there's some big mystery that happened, and it said that there's like 2 people that know what happened and one of them's dead, which is her mother. So I'm really curious as to what this is talking about. I'm probably going to read all day because I didn't want to do anything else. I want to lay in front of my fan, cuddle with my dog, who I don't think he cares too much, and read. That's it. This lighting situation kind of sucks, but we're gonna deal with it anyways. I got 35% into You Know What You Did, and I'm really enjoying that book, but I put it down because the next like city prompt for the Amazing Readathon, which I'm participating in, I don't know if I mentioned that in this vlog specifically yet, but I'm participating in that this month, and the next like city prompt just dropped earlier today, and so I had to pause that book because it didn't fit for the prompt. I am about like 50% into it. It's like a shorter book, and that's The Survivors. The prompt was to read a book that had nature in the covers. This has trees, and it also has like a lake. I'm 50% into it, and honestly, like, it's not terrible. I'm not attached to these characters by any means, and it's kind of just like I'm just listening to it just cause. We're following 3 brothers, and we're in kind of this dual timeline, at least for this first part. As far as I can tell, there's only 2 parts, and we're following them as their kids and then also as adults after their mother has passed away. We're following them as they return to this lake and the cottage that they used to spend time at as children, and they haven't been there for, I think it says in the synopsis, like 2 decades. The reason being is some accident happened and we're not really sure what. That's what like the whole mystery of this book is. So basically we're getting kind of the before and then the after. Like I said, I'm not really attached to the main characters in this book. I could care less about any of them. I don't really care about the mystery either. Like, there's nothing inherently wrong with this book. I just don't care. Luckily, I am going through this fairly quick. The audiobook's only 7 hours long. It'll only take me total like 3.5 hours to finish, and like I said, I'm already halfway through this. I have reading updates for you. Let's start with the books that I have finished since the last time I talked to you. The first book, The Survivors, First of all, I did not care for these characters. I didn't care for the story. It's not that there was anything wrong with it. It was just boring. There was like a twist in this that I think if I cared enough, I probably could have figured out, but I didn't. And it shocked me. And like I said, it's kind of boring. Like there's a plot, but it's like nothing to keep you engaged. The author's from Sweden, and so this is like translated into English. So it must have been like big enough where they were like, let's translate this book so more people can read it. This is mostly just like literary fiction. There's a like an element of kind of mystery, thriller like aspect, but the whole time it just felt like I was reading a literary fiction novel with like no plot or like minimal plot. And that's all I have to say about this. I don't know. I wish I was more like cohesive with my thoughts when I'm talking, but like I actually have to write stuff down to really be that way. And that takes too long, and I do this for fun. And then I picked back up because I started this and I was like 35% through, and then a city prompt came in. So I picked You Know What You Did back up. There is like a piece of my hair that like, hello. Oh, I don't care. This book, what can I say? I actually thoroughly like this. I definitely think there's some people that's gonna be like, no. This wasn't for me. I did not like it. The whole time though, like this didn't feel like there was a mystery element kind of similar to The Survivors. Not as much, like The Survivors was very much like literary fiction. There's like this mystery aspect to this that is kind of in the foreground. Like this feels like, I don't know if I have like any books that are similar to this, but movie wise, like Black Swan I think is a good like example. They're not similar, but the like idea that this is like a thriller, psychological thriller, I definitely feel like this has like psychological thriller aspects, but like for the character, not for you. You're just following this character who's going crazy, and that's it. Like it's not scary. It's not like there's like a lot going on that you need to like try to figure out. She just feels like she's going crazy, and maybe she is, maybe she's not. This book is about this woman who she has recently lost her mother, who was a hoarder. Her and her mom were brought to America from Vietnam during the Vietnam War. You see very much like her mother's way of dealing with it and how she dealt with her mother's way of dealing with things. Does that make sense? She, for the most part, was like taking care of herself, and then she gets married to this man, and then her mother moves into what she calls the carriage house. I don't know what a carriage house is, but her mom moves into it. Then her mom dies, and she's left to kind of clean up her mom's hoarding mess. On top of that, she has OCD, which for years she's kind of kept under wraps, and she's been able to take care of it well. Then it comes back, just like her whole life unravels, and things start happening that cause her to think that she's going crazy, that she's like the one that's responsible for this. We're also getting really like 3 generations of women and their daughters and within this family. So it's her mom and her daughter, and we're seeing how she's trying to break generational trauma. A lot of this feels like literary fiction, and there's just like this thriller aspect to it. I personally just really love this book. First of all, I feel like the aspect of like how this character is dealing with her mother and first of all passing, and then also her mother's influence on her life, as well as her now influencing her daughter's life and making sure that she does things differently, that she wants to do differently. I feel like that was like really well done. And then we're also getting, on top of that, the OCD representation, which I think was phenomenal in this. That was like the main aspect that I picked it up, because it's like, oh my god, this is my worst nightmare. Let me read about it. It's great. It's great. I love this book. I think I'll give it like a 4.5 stars. My 5 stars are reserved for the books that have an emotional impact on me and also are really well done. And even though I really enjoyed this book and I think that it's like a solid book, I can't give it a 5 star because I don't have that like emotional impact. It didn't have that emotional impact. Does that make sense? I don't know. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this. I think that it was really well done. Also the plot twist, did not see that coming, and maybe I should have, but I did not, and I'll just leave it at that. Literally, I was in bed and I was listening to the audiobook and I was going, my mouth was open for like 5 to 10 minutes of me just sitting here just thinking, what just happened? Anyways, next we're switching things up and I picked up You Should Be So Lucky. I have a arc of this. They actually accidentally sent me 2. I'm gonna take 1 to a free little library whenever I go. 70% through this book. We're following a reporter and a baseball player. The baseball player kind of going through some stuff. He just got traded to a different team and he found out through like this reporter, and he's having to move, he had to move to this new city. His teammates don't like him because he ran his mouth and talked about the team's manager, and so he's trying to repair that. And then we also have this reporter who is writing a like diary of like a fake diary in the newspaper weekly of the baseball player to kind of get his reputation back on track, you know what I mean? I did not know that this takes place during like the 1950s, 1960s, and this is also the second book in the series. You can read them as standalones though, so like I honestly didn't even know that until I looked on Goodreads and I was like, that's interesting because I would not have guessed. Anyways, the reporter, he just lost his roommate. He's just distraught. He's going through it, and they're both just kind of going through it in life, and they find solace in each other, and that's where we're at. I mean, that's not where I'm at in the book, but that's where I'm gonna stop talking about it so I don't spoil anything. I do need to finish this. The Amazing Readathon is doing a, what do you call it, a 48-hour readathon, and it starts at noon. It's currently 10 a.m. so I'm gonna wrap up this book and this vlog. I'm actually gonna do like an individual vlog for the 48 hours, and then I'll come back and we'll do weekly vlogs again. I have officially finished You Should Be So Lucky. I don't know what I want to rate this, so let's talk through it first. I listened to this on audio and I think that I should have physically read it instead. I'm not a big fan of historical fiction, first of all, and I didn't know that that's what this was, but like it's not something that I absolutely hated about this book. Because this is like a melodrama romance, I feel like it added a little bit more of like a conflict, obviously, for these two characters. I really think that the side characters were strong, solid characters, and I also really enjoyed the main character. I do wish that this was shorter. Like there's some stuff that I just feel like it dragged on and there was like no need for it to be in here. With that being said though, I'm not like super attached to it. It was just like a book. Towards the end I was getting a little bored, which happens a lot of times in romances with me, so like it's not that big of a deal, but I'm trying to decide how I feel about this like as a whole. I think I'm gonna give it a 3-star. I feel pretty confident in that rating. And with that being said, it's actually like past 1 o'clock and the readathon has already started that I was talking about. So I'm gonna wrap this up and start my next vlog. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. If you did not, very much understandable. I'm gonna go and read